Welcome back, everybody. It was like 3-week break, eh? Yeah. So hopefully everybody remembers Surya Namaskara from last time. So I'm going to assume you more or less know the movements, so we'll just go through the movements, and this time I'll focus on the breathing that you should be doing, right? So again, start off from prayer pose, right? And you exhale completely. Okay. Then you inhale, hands up and back. Exhale, reach down, touch your toes. Inhale, take your right leg back as far as you can. And look up, inhale. Okay, other leg back. Go up on your feet. Try to touch your heels to the ground and arch your back downwards. And exhale. Okay, the next pose you actually remain exhaling. Right? So you keep the breath out. You go down into the 8-point pose. Keep your buttocks in the air. Hold the breath out. Okay. Then go flat. Inhale. Cobra. Okay, then back up, mountain. Exhale. Inhale, left leg forward, between your hands. Okay. Inhale. Okay. Exhale, other foot next to it, exhale. Okay. And inhale. And up. And exhale. And back down. Okay? And you do one more inhale, like this. And then exhale. Okay? Now inhale, we do the second half, right? So inhale and up. Exhale and down. This time the left leg goes back. Inhale. Okay, mountain pose. Exhale. Hold the breath out. 8-point pose. Okay. Inhale, cobra. Okay, mountain pose. Exhale. Okay, right leg forward. Inhale. Okay, both together. Exhale. And then up. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, we'll just lie in Shavasana for 30 seconds. Okay. You can concentrate on your breathing and your heartbeat. Okay, you can sit up. So we'll do the spinal twist, remember from last time? That's okay, well, okay, zoom in a bit, fine. Okay, so one leg in front, cross the other leg over. The other foot comes around at the knee. Okay, you kind of push with your, you leverage with your, you push with your foot against your knee to begin the twist. You take the left hand, spin it around as far as you can. Okay. Take the right hand, spin that one around as far as you can, plant them on the ground. And then using both your hands, you try to twist your spine as much as you can. And turn your head as well. Okay, and the other side. Okay, and spin your hand back. Other hand, and then pull and twist. And relax. Okay, I also wanted to show Agnisar Kriya one more time. Again, that's a good practice to do. Actually, I want to see if you got all of them. That's good? Yeah. Okay.
I have a question about Surya Namaskara.
Sure.
Can we just start doing Surya Namaskara in the morning, or do we have to do like the breathing exercises before because of the time crunch? Generally, people.
No, do Surya Namaskara.
It's fine.
Yeah, do Surya Namaskara first. Generally, you do Surya Namaskara first.
Okay.
And you usually do all the asanas first, and then you do the breathing after that. And so, yeah. So again, the other important one I wanted to show you. So basically, you want to do forward bending and backward bending and twisting of the spine as a minimum kind of thing for asanas. Again, Agnisar Kriya is an important one. I'm going to because what that one does is there's a chakra, right, opposite the navel at the back of the spine, Manipura chakra, and the reflection point at the navel. So Agnisar Kriya actually works to help awaken that chakra, right? So it's an important practice to do. When I was watching the video, it was perhaps not exactly clear what I was doing. Hey, morning.
Hi, good morning.
So there's two positions, right, that you do of the stomach for Agnisar Kriya, right? Pull the stomach in is one position, and you push the stomach out is the second position. So what I'll do is I'll show them more slowly, right? So you can get a see. So you'll pull the stomach in. I'll hold that for a few seconds, so you see what that looks like. Then I'll push it out, and I'll hold it up for a few seconds, just so you can see what that looks like, right? Maybe one more time, slowly. And then Agnisar Kriya is actually doing it quickly, right? So that's what I showed last week. I just showed you going quickly in and out, and then. But again, that might be tough to figure out what exactly I was doing. So I'll show it slowly first, and then I'll show it quickly afterwards. And the other thing is you exhale completely, and then you don't breathe. You hold the breath out the whole time, right? Okay? So it's just like this. Okay. So again, that's like I said, that's a very important practice for awakening the Manipura chakra at your navel. Right. So again, I encourage everyone to give it a try and to learn to do it. Again, it's also very good for all of the internal organs, right? Blood circulation, help with digestion, all kinds of things, right?
I have a question regarding this particular asana. Have you read or anyone indicated? Is it good for the women, or do they need to take any special precautions?
No, it's equally good for men or women, right?
Okay. I had some difficulty after doing this, so I just wanted to make sure that it's okay.
Well, again, when you start out, you might have like various, aches and pains, right, in your stomach region, right? Again, it depends what you ate, the food that you ate the night before, and things like that. You'll start to correlate the two, actually, right? If you have like you start to change your diet, maybe, you may want to. We'll talk about diet today, actually. You might realize that, okay, if I eat a certain food the previous day, the next morning I do Agnisar Kriya, all of my organs feel really nice and good, right? Whereas if I had like a really heavy supper or something, in the morning I have a lot of aches and pains when I do it, right? So you kind of correlate that what is good food to eat and what is not good food to eat, depending on how you feel with that practice, right?
I was coming more from the hormonal balance or imbalance.
Yeah?
Not sure, but not about the digestion, but hormonal, does it affect? Or it may affect because it's like...
Well, yeah, all of these things affect the endocrine system, right? So all the hormones will change, right?
Yeah.
All of the hormones they come into balance actually. That's the idea of the practices, right?
Yeah.
Is that they'll bring all your hormones into balance so that you'll feel really good all the time, right? So today we're doing lessons 7 and 8. So starts off with diet and digestion. There's a big discussion of that. The different nutrients, proteins, minerals, carbohydrates, vitamins, and so on, right? And they give like some general guidelines here. I'll just go over it quickly, right? So, whole grains, whole wheat, barley, rye, corn, right? Whole grain rice, brown rice basically. Fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, right? Oils is like vegetable oils or clarified butter, ghee, right? And and avoid processed food. Have like natural, like freshly picked type food, right? Or dried fruits is good, or dried lentils, right? Dried beans, any kind of dried fruit or vegetable is also good, right? And that's about it, right? Food is it's pretty simple. Again, I think in the next chapter, lesson 8, they talk about vegetarianism actually, right? Yeah, so lesson 8, the start of lesson 8 is about vegetarianism. So the only thing I'll say about that is that as you do the practices, like I said, you'll start to think more about you'll be very in touch with how your body feels in the morning, right? And you'll begin to correlate with that with the food you've eaten the previous day, right? And you'll start to realize that, well, certain food makes me actually feel pretty bad. Another food makes me feel pretty good, and you'll gradually kind of eliminate the foods that are making you feel bad, right? It's just a natural thing to do once you become aware of it, right? So for that, I just say, let it happen naturally, right? Don't really worry about, what you're eating. You'll just, as you do the practices, you become aware of what's good and bad, and just let it naturally happen, right? Asanas. So as I was saying, so we're actually going to learn the meditative asanas today. The first one is Padmasana, Lotus posture. So these are the actual meditative asanas. So far we've just been sitting in the simple pose, but you actually are not supposed to meditate in this pose, right? And we should actually try to learn one of the, you should learn, since the whole class is women today, it's going to, Siddhasana is the main one that for women to learn. But I'll show the 3 main ones, right? The first one we'll do is Padmasana, the lotus posture, right? So, I don't know if anyone wants to give it a try, but first we'll do a half butterfly, like loosen your legs up a bit. Right, so take one leg and bring it up, basically, right? And see if push your knee to the ground if you can, right? Spin it around, rotate it, right? You can also try, to again help pull it up high, try to reach behind your back and see if you can grab your foot from behind your back. Right?
That's okay.
Right? Yeah. Again, this is just another way to stretch it, right? So, okay, try the other foot. Actually, there's really, well, again, in the advanced classes I'll show you all the asanas. Again, you may not be able to do them, but I want to kind of record it on the video for, posterity, basically. But, yeah. And rotate. If you can't reach behind your back, just pull it. Actually, usually you grab your other foot too at the same time. gives a good stretch. Anyways, we'll learn this asana in the advanced classes, this full asana. So Padmasana again is, you can start with either foot. So let's take the right foot first, put it up, right? Okay. And you just take the other foot and you put it up on the other side, right? And that is it basically, right? And what's good about this one is that, it's easy to keep your back straight in this posture. The body weight is distributed across your thighs. Now, it's not only on your buttocks, but it's distributed across the thighs. Again, a good stretch in this posture as well to help you develop this stretch is to Yoga Mudra, which is basically put your hands behind the back and touch your head on the floor in front of you. Right? That'll give your legs a good stretch. Right? So the main thing, again, like I said, we want to eventually get to Kriya Yoga, right? So there's 20 Kriyas that are taught in this book. And out of the 20 Kriyas, one of them requires you to sit in Padmasana, right? So you should try to learn it to some extent, right? Let's do it the other way now. So we'll put the left leg up first. This was the right leg up first, and I'll put the left leg up first. Right? And again, you can stretch it out similar with Yoga Mudra. So that's about it for Padmasana. Again, it just takes practice. You just have to sit in it. Eventually your legs will develop the flexibility, plus do the other asanas, the half butterfly, the full butterfly, crow walking. All of those things will help you develop flexibility in your legs to eventually sit like this fairly comfortably, right? Okay, the next asana is Siddhasana and Siddhasana. There's like male and female versions. Actually, for anyone watching the video, the next discussion will be like, PG, parental guidance suggested. So I'm going to talk fairly explicitly about the male and female genitals and about these postures and about the relationship to the chakras, the Muladhara chakra and the Swadhisthana chakra, because again, this posture is used for awakening those chakras. So again, you use the heels of each foot, right? The left heel and the right heel, and you press them against the region of the genitals, and that will cause the awakening of these two chakras. So the Muladhara chakra, in men it's at the perineum, and in women it's at the cervix. And again, the idea too is you want to actually have the heels pressed directly against the skin, right? Not without any clothing in the way. So again, I'm not saying that you practice in the nude, right? But in the olden days, people didn't wear underwear, right? People just dressed in like a single piece of cloth, essentially, right? Women, took a single piece of cloth and wrapped it in a sari, right? And men took a single piece of cloth and wrapped themselves in a dhoti, basically, right? So when I practice at home, I actually don't wear these clothes, right? I wear a dhoti when I practice, right? When I sit in Siddhasana, so I can sit, correctly. It makes a big difference, I find. So I thought for the video, I did a little bit of a fashion show, and I'll show you how to put on the dhoti, again for the video. Anybody watching at home who wants to learn, who wants to try this out, basically. So I don't know, is there any place you can buy a dhoti in Ottawa?
Maybe the Indian store in downtown.
Oh, there's an Indian store, there's a clothing store downtown?
Is this the place? The clothes, yeah.
So there's new creation. I don't know if it's still there or not.
This dhoti is special. This is cotton.
Yeah.
We actually bought it from the Panditji once.
Okay.
You get it at Sri Lankan store.
Right.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Okay, so you try to get around the middle of the cloth, right? And again, again, I'm not wearing anything when I put this on, right? No underwear, no pants, nothing, but again, so you just tie it around your waist. Make a knot. Again, I don't know what the actual way to do it is, right? I just kind of figured this out somewhat halfway on my own. Because again, I didn't grow up in India and never wore these things. You guys can maybe comment if you know how to tie a dhoti. But basically what I do is just like that. And I take one piece, put it between my legs, right? And then I kind of just fold this up here. And just kind of push it in the front. And do the same thing on the other side, between the legs. And then just push it in the front. So something like that, basically, right? How's that? Not bad?
Yeah.
So what this gives you is that it keeps you covered, right? So it looks like you're wearing clothes, right? But you actually have, you have access, full access to this whole area, if you're naked, right? So what you do then, right? It's like this, You then have access here, so you push your heels in this area directly, right? You have direct access with your heels there. And then you cover yourself up, and then you sit and you meditate, right? Okay? So that's basically how that works. Again, you can do the same thing in a sari or whatever too, right? Okay. So I'll just take this off and I'll explain to you the exact details of the postures. So Siddhasana, Siddha Yoni Asana, right? Again, out of the 20 Kriyas of Kriya Yoga, 18 of them are done in Siddhasana. Okay, so this is the most important asana to learn, right? Okay, this is the most important asana. The other key thing, actually I'll show you the other book, right? So this is the other book I have, right? This one's called Kundalini Tantra, right? It's actually, some people have scanned the whole thing. You can find the PDF on the internet, in fact, right? I think I sent you the link already, but I'll email you the link. And so this one. So the thing is this book, right? So this book is great, and it has everything. So this book has everything, right? Everything is in this book. And all about yoga, all the different types of yoga are covered in this book. All of the asanas, the breathing practices, the meditation practices, whether it's a japa or mantra meditation or karma yoga or jnana yoga or every type of yoga is covered in this book. But what this book does, this focuses specifically on Kriya Yoga, right? Okay, this book focuses on Kriya Yoga specifically, which is basically, again, I've done everything in this book, and my conclusion is that Kriya Yoga is basically the way to go, right? Kriya Yoga gives you the best results with in the safest, easiest way, basically, right? So there's additional details in here about Kriya Yoga which are actually not in this book, so that's why I also reference this book. And again, this one, like I said, the PDF, people have scanned and put the PDF online, so it's not too, so you don't actually have to go out and buy it even. Okay, so the key thing about Siddhasana, right? It basically directs the energy from the lower psychic centers, the lower chakras, upward through the spine, stimulating the brain and calming the entire nervous system, right? So I'll explain the male version first, right? So for men, it's called Siddhasana. And what you do is you take your right heel, okay? Again, you press it just below the genitals, right? So just below the genitals, there's a place called the perineum, before the anus, right? So you press it and you can contract the muscles there, right? That's right where the Muladhara chakra is on men. So you contract the muscles there, the perineum a bit, and you press your heel in that area to hold that contraction, right? Okay. And then then the other foot comes on top. So the other heel should be on top of this heel, right? Not directly on top of it, but above it. So now it depends how your foot bends, right? So for some men, right? I've seen, not for me actually, but for some men, their foot bends in such a way that there's a gap created between their heels, right? So the actual Siddhasana is you should actually put your genitals between the gap of your heels, right? And the upper heel should press against the pubic bone, right? So the other chakra, so Muladhara chakra is at the perineum, right? Swadhisthana chakra is at the tailbone, right? And across from the tailbone of the pubic bone is the reflection point, the Swadhisthana reflection point, trigger point, whatever you want to call it, right? And basically that heel should press above the genitals at the pubic bone for men, right? Ideally, right? In my case, my foot doesn't bend that way. So my foot, this heel actually sits in front of my genitals when I practice. And again, the most important thing though is in fact to have the first heel at the perineum for the Muladhara chakra. The Muladhara chakra is where the Kundalini is. And that's actually the most important chakra that has to be awakened in fact, right? And for passing the spiritual energy, releasing it and sending it up the spine to the brain as described over there. So that's basically it, right? Again, you straighten your spine, right? Once you have your heels in position, pressing against your body, you just straighten your back, your neck, you relax, you have your hands on your knees, right? And we'll learn mudras a little later on, right? And usually in a hand mudra of some sort. And you use this posture for the breathing practices and the meditation practices. Again, like I said, 18 of the 20 Kriya Yoga practices are done in Siddhasana. For women, it's very similar, right? So like I said before, right? So for women, the Muladhara chakra is in the cervix, right? So you understand the female anatomy, there's the vagina, and then the cervix, and then the uterus or the womb, right? So just after the vagina, and then the uterus is, the cervix, right in that region is where the Muladhara chakra is. So again, what you want to do is you want to contract the muscles of the, so for men they contract the muscle of the perineum, women have to contract the muscles of the vagina and the cervix, right, to try to awaken the Muladhara chakra, right? So again, so for women, again there's two possibilities. Again, you have to experiment which one you prefer, right? So again, to assist with the contraction of the muscles of the vagina, you can either press the heel on the front of the vagina, or you can actually push the heel inside the vagina, right? Depending on what makes it more easier for you to hold the contraction of the vaginal muscles, right? The other heel, so the other thing for awakening the Shavasana reflection point at the pubic bone, you contract the urinary muscles, right? So like when you're urinating and you hold your urination, you contract the urinary muscles, right? So men is the same thing, you contract the urinary muscles, and women is the same thing. Except women, the urinary muscles is also tightly coupled with the clitoris and those muscles. So you actually press the other heel against the clitoris and the urinary area, right, for contracting those muscles, right? And that'll help awaken the Swadhisthana reflection point. Okay, so that's where the two heels go. Otherwise, it's the same thing. Back straight, hands on the knees, neck straight, and relax. And you do your breathing and your meditation. All right? And that's about it. Any questions about any of that? So next up is Pranayama. So from now on, I'm going to be sitting like this now and if you can try, you can go back to easy posture. You may have to practice this a bit before you can sit like this comfortably. The other thing you can do too is you can actually put something underneath your butt, right? You can like fold a blanket or have like what I used to do right before I could sit like this. At one time I had no flexibility, right? Back in 2001 when I started, right? I couldn't sit for like 2 minutes without my legs cramping up on me or like killing me in pain or whatever, right? So what I did initially is I took a piece of plywood, like a small piece of plywood, I wrapped that in a towel because I found that a towel is a bit too soft. Piece of plywood, wrap it in a towel, it's like a little nice firm, and just put that, just to raise yourself up a bit. It takes a lot of pressure off of your legs, right, if you're having, if your legs are paining you, right? So again, basically practice and try to develop to sit in this. So for Pranayama, so Nadi Shodhana, right? So this is the next step of Nadi Shodhana, what we've learned so far. Again, inhale left nostril, exhale right nostril. Inhale right nostril, exhale left nostril is 1 round. What we did last class is we learned about trying to make the exhalation about twice as long as the inhalation, right? So in this class, we now introduce breath retention, right? So you inhale now, you hold the breath for some time, and then you exhale, right? So start off, if we're sort of given a ratio of inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds, inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 8. So now the first thing you can add is inhale for 4, hold your breath for 4 seconds, and exhale for 8. Okay, inhale for 4, hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 8. Okay? So again, you may want to practice that for half the week. And then the other half of the week, lesson 8. It's, Lesson 8 introduces the next step, and that is to actually hold the inhalation for as long as the exhalation, basically, right? So if you inhale for 4 seconds, and if you exhale for 8, then you inhale 4 seconds, hold your breath for 8 seconds, then exhale for 8 seconds, right? Then inhale again for 4, hold for 8, exhale for 8, right? And again, the idea is not to let yourself go out or get out of breath. So if you realize you're getting out of breath, just reduce your, the breath retention to 4 seconds, or even stop breath retention altogether if you find yourself getting out of breath during the practice, right? The key thing is to be aware of your breathing capacity, right? Don't do the practice holding your breath and then suddenly realize, I'm out of breath, and then panic, whatever, right? I can't breathe. So be very aware of your breathing capacity and try to gradually, if you see you're going out of breath, just reduce the breath retention or eliminate it. Keep going though, and then start it again. Once you regain your breath, just start it again. And eventually, gradually develop the ability to hold your breath for the whole 8 seconds, right? So do 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 8 seconds. Okay? So now breath retention, right? So is a kind of a bit of a touchy subject with some people, right? Because it's a very powerful practice, right? I mean, you could see some very significant results from breath retention. So many schools of yoga will not actually tell anybody to do it, right? So I'm just going to give you some of the, the warnings and the guidelines, the precautions actually, right? They give a list of precautions here, right? Right. So though under Kumbhaka, breath retention is a seemingly simple and straightforward practice, it can have and does have vast repercussions on the body and mind, right? You must be alert to any adverse reactions, right? These can take a variety of forms, You can get like rashes on your skin all of a sudden, right? As the body cleans itself, right? Inability to sleep as you awaken, like tremendous amounts of spiritual energy. You can be awake all night, for example, not sleep for like a couple of days, right? If you awaken too much energy, right? Right? So again, if you get, it's happened to me many times, right? So again, I just stop the practices at that point, right? If I get too out of balance, right, out of whack, basically, I just stop the practices, let my body come back to normal, right, and then I start them up again. I mean, it takes a little while to get used to them as your body cleans itself, purifies itself. It can take a little while to get used to that, right? As you expand your awareness and expand your understanding of yourself and everything, right? Mm-hmm. Right, again, they just sort of kind of casually say that many things can happen, right? I mean, I had a case where I couldn't eat for 3 days, in fact, one time, right? So, I mean, anything can happen. It's hard to say what's going to happen. So you just, just take a break, let your body come back to normal, and then and everything will be fine, right? Again, don't get too excited, right, either, right? I mean, people rush to the doctor many times, right? For some little thing happens and then they rush to the doctor. So that's not going to help you, right? The doctor's just going to actually make it worse, in fact, right? So, just stop the practice, let your body come back to normal, and everything will be fine, right? So, yeah. So the thing is, once the purification happens, though, right, and your awareness expands, you become super healthy, in fact, actually, right? I mean, you become, immune to everything. You can, you never get sick, basically, and you feel really good all the time, essentially. So it's, very beneficial. I mean, it's you can't even describe it, in fact, I can't even begin to describe, how much better I feel today compared to, 9 years ago when I started in 2001, right? I mean, it's like if myself today, trying to talk to myself back, my 2001 person, level of understanding that I had back in then, I mean, that person could not comprehend where I am today, kind of thing. It's just, it can't be explained. You have to experience it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they also talk about benefits, right? So, almost all diseases can be cured, right, by this practice. Again, once you get over all the adverse reactions, right? And you begin to purify yourself. And again, you'll become very aware, like I said, of the foods you eat, of the activities you're doing, of of what's good about your life and what's wrong, what you need to fix in your life. Basically, become very aware of what things you're doing wrong and what things you need to change, right? And your life will just get better and better, right? So anyways, let's give it a try. We'll do for 5 minutes. Shodhana. So do a few rounds, do 1 minute. Actually, I'll prompt you. I'll prompt you to initially just do inhale, exhale, right? 2-3 times. Then start counting the seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 8. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8, right? Do that a couple times. And then try the breath retention. So inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8, right? Do that a few times. And then if you still find you're comfortable, then try the whole 8 seconds hold, right? So try inhale for 4, hold for 8, exhale for 8, right? 4, 8, 8. Okay, we'll do that for about 5 minutes. Okay? And remember, 2 fingers on the forehead, use your thumb for the right nostril, 3rd finger for the left. Okay, inhale from the left and begin. Okay, you can try the 4-second breath retention on the next inhale. Okay, if that feels comfortable, try the 8-second breath retention now. finish your last round. So so next thing is the meditation practice. So last week we learned Anulom Vilom. So today what we're going to learn is actually a practice that you would actually do before Anulom Vilom, right? So called Kaya Stereo. So basically, with any meditation practice, it's best if you can kind of like, forget about your body, right? If you don't have to worry about like aches and pains, scratches, itches, any kind of like problem with your body, right? It just distracts you, essentially, right? So what Kaya Stereo is about is basically to help you eliminate all attention to the body, right? To help you forget about the body, right? So then you can concentrate on the actual meditation practice, which is like, Anulom Vilom. Or Tratak, which I'll introduce today as well. So let's do, I'll guide you through Kaya Stereo. So basically you sit in your meditative posture. Actually, before we do this, I'll show you, we'll do one thing from chapter 8. Mudras. I'll quickly just go over mudras. Mudras is pretty simple, just hand mudras. So in a meditative posture, generally you put your hands in a certain position before you rest them on your knees. There's basically a few possibilities, right? So you basically want to somehow connect your thumb and your index finger, right? So either touch the tips together, right? Or you can touch the top of it against the inside of the thumb, right? So you can do like this, you can do like this, or you can do like this, right? Okay, those are the two. So again, just pick whichever, they're both equal, whichever one you find more comfortable, right? I personally find this one more comfortable for myself. This is the one I use. And then you can do either the backs of your hands on your knees, right? Or you can do your palms on your knees, right? So again, whatever feels more comfortable to you. Some people prefer this, people prefer this. So again, you can experiment, right? So spend this week experimenting, between try this one, try this one, try this one, try this one, right? The 4 different types. And then basically pick one and then stick with that one. When you pick one, just stick with that one kind of thing, right? I use this, palms down and like that, right? When I practice, okay? So Kaya Stereo. Again, just sit in your meditative asana. Again, whatever's comfortable. Put your hands in whatever mudra you want to try out for today. All right, so I do this one. All right. Straighten the spine. Head erect. Right. Back straight. Close the eyes. Right. Okay, and I'll talk you through it. Right. So you just have to follow my voice. Right. Okay. So be aware of your whole body. Right. So spend a moment, move your mind through your whole body and feel all the different parts of it. Feel that your body is part of the ground. Imagine that your body is growing from the ground. Just like a tree. Your torso and head are the trunk, and your legs are the roots. Convince yourself that because your body is part of the ground, your legs are in the ground, they cannot move and they will not move. You're as steady as a large tree. Visualize yourself mentally. Move your mind to any aches and pains you might have. Move to any other aches and pains you have in your body. Cycle through all the aches and pains, moving your mind to each one. And basically, as you concentrate on it, it will disappear. Now move your mind through your whole body. Start with your legs. Feel the sensations on your right leg, on your right foot, your right leg. Move your mind through. And then your left foot and your left leg. Your torso, your back, your chest. Your entire body is perfectly still, not moving in the slightest. You're like a statue, motionless. If you have an itch, take your mind and scratch it with your mind, but your body will remain still. If you have a pain, soothe it with your mind, but your body will remain still. Your body is now very stiff. It has even begun to disappear, become weightless. And now you're ready for any meditative practice. Okay? So at this point you would start Anulom Vilom or Pranashuddhi. Right? Inhale left, exhale right. Inhale right, exhale left. 100. right, and keep going. But that'll be, that you'll have to continue on your own. Okay, so you can open your eyes and we'll end the practice here. And before we end the class, I'm going to talk about the next meditative practice that we'll be learning. It's Tantric, and that was the end of lesson 7. Lesson 8. Hand movements. Okay, there's one practice I'll tell you about in lesson 8, Aguchari Mudra. This practice is actually mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. It's nose-tip gazing, right? So, again, different swamis have different interpretations, right? And again, you can actually do the practice in many different ways, right? So, Swami Chinmayananda, for example, describes it as just closing your mind and concentrating on your nose tip and leave your eyes, pointing forward, right? But this practice is actually a much more literal interpretation, right? That you actually cross your eyes and look at your nose, right? So you keep your eyes open. Again, different practices work for different people. Some people have a difficult time concentrating when they close their eyes. When they close their eyes, their mind starts to wander very quickly. Right? Other people, if they have their eyes open and actually looking at something, they can then focus. Their mind focuses with their eyes open. So you have to see which works better for you, how you best focus your mind essentially without letting it wander, right? So again, if this works for you, you can give it a try. The idea here is you just you look at your finger, right? Again, I never actually wear glasses or stuff when I meditate, but you look at your finger and you bring it towards your nose, and you then look at your nose. And you take your hands away and you look at your nose, and that is it. So the thing about the nose tip, right? The nose tip is, there's a spiritual connection between the nose tip and the Muladhara chakra, right? At the Pranayama or in the cervix. And again, it's another way to kind of awaken the Muladhara chakra just by gazing at the nose, concentrating on your nose tip or looking at it. When you look at it, you also concentrate on it, basically, right? By looking and concentrating on the nose tip, you can awaken the Muladhara chakra. It's another means to do that. And again, it's one of the practices used in, it's one of the Kriya techniques as well it's used in. Right? So you can, it's also good for, just strengthens the eyes as well, right? I mean, it helps you with focusing your eyes. Like you can, I noticed last time I had my eyes checked, the doctor said that, my close vision had actually improved. It helps you improve your near vision, in fact, right? And, okay. So the next main meditation practice, which we'll be doing next week, is called Tantric. So you have a little bit of homework before we practice Tantric next week. It's to decide on an object of awareness, right? So you can choose many things. I'll just go through the list here for you, and you can kind of decide what appeals to you, right? So again, the idea here is you pick something, right? Again, if it's, you can use anything. Like so for example, let's say you pick the moon, right? So you can, spend time looking at the moon, like in the evenings and the night, right? You kind of try to focus and get as much detail. Maybe have a telescope, and look at the moon, right? You try to memorize it completely, right? And then the idea is to memorize some object, anything. It can be anything, right? And then create an image of that in your mind, right? So you can close your eyes, and then you create that image, and you meditate on that image, right? So you can do it with many things. I just said the moon is an example, but you can do like a candle flame, a cross, if you're Christian, a Om symbol, right? A flower, if you're like nature, right? Or something as simple as like a black dot on a white sheet of paper, right? The rising sun, the moon, a star, Shiva Lingam, right? It's a very spiritual symbol. You can think about your nose tip, they say, the eyebrow center, that's the point between your eyebrows, right? The sky, water, right? Ishta Devta, your personal deity, if you have any kind of, a god that you worship or image of a god that you worship. Yin-yang symbol, Or anyone or Chinese? A crystal, a yantra or a mandala, right? Your shadow, just darkness, right? Buddha, Christ, any god, image of a god, right? So basically pick something. So basically that's your homework for next week, is to pick something that you're going to use, try to look at it, memorize it, and then next week we'll do the practice of Tratak on whatever object you've decided on. Okay? And we are done for this week. Any questions?
About the meditation when you guided us, are those steps written here?
They're more or less in my book.
Okay. I just wanted to read it.
It's there. You have Kaya starting open up, right? Topic 6, lesson 7.
Chapter 6, lesson 7?
No, lesson 7, topic 6.
Oh, lesson 7, topic 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, under technique, I was just reading through everything that was written under technique.
Okay,
Right?
thanks.
Anything else? Okay, I guess that's it for this week. See you next week.